If you wanted to hear what really pisses Steve Kiles and Carl White off, you are listening to the right episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. We're powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and Carl White fired up.
Man,
that was
I tell
literally
you,
that was literally it. You were like, let's record an episode about what just pisses me off. All right, let's
go. And so let's put a little. We're going to put a little heads up here. Yeah, a little disclaimer here. So normally we keep these episodes a straight G rating.
Yes.
Right. Today we're going to put it a PG-13.
There you go. There we go.
PG. So this is PG-13. Yeah. It's not R.
Yeah.
Certainly isn't X. But this is going to be a PG-13. So, yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day, and you mentioned the same thing. That's why I said, "Hey, dude, let's hit the record button." And somebody said, "Yeah, but Carl, you advocate cold calling."
Yeah.
And you had mentioned somebody told you. I don't know where people are getting this from. I have never ever advocated cold calling that I can think of. Anybody ever. Yeah. Like I have no idea where you know what it is that people have been trained to think that calling your past database is a cold call.
Yeah.
That's not a cold call.
Yeah.
Right. That's a business call. That's a sales call. By the way, and I'll say something else too. I don't think there's anything wrong with a cold call.
Yeah.
Right. So I know a lot of people make a lot of money off of cold calling. I'm just saying, I don't think you need to do that. I think there's other ways that work even better. But to say cold calling doesn't work, I'll tell you 100%, it absolutely positively works. But I look for things that work even better.
Or easier. Right? Things that are just
easier.
Let's make it easier. Yeah. I mean,
all right, so let's talk about that a little bit. So let's run through like past database is not a cold call.
No,
that's your past database. Yet, Steve, what happens when we get in a room, when you and I are in a room and we have 200 people in that room, 200 loan officers in the room, and we tell them, hey, if you've called your past database from A to Z in the last year, the last 12 months, when people are sitting around going, what am I going to do? My business is down. What do I do? What do I do? We ask two questions. Question number one, How many people in here, if you called your past database from A to Z, know without a shadow of a doubt, you'd close another 3, 4, 5, or 55, right? Depending on the size of the loan, your database, loans just from calling your database. What percent of the people
raise their hand? Oh, it's 100% of the room.
Everybody says, yeah, I know I did. And then Steve, when we ask them, all right, so 100% of the people know that you would close more loans when you do that. How many of you actually have called your past database from A to Z? Out of 200 people, how many people stay standing?
Oh, man. I mean, it's literally 1 or 2, maybe 3.
And
maybe it's typically 3. The ones that we're coaching, if they're in the room.
Yeah. It'll be our members that happen to be at this, like we're at an association of some sort or a boot camp. Yeah. So that's a remarkable thing that everybody knows. If I call my past database, I'd close more loans.
Yep.
100% of the people that call their past database from A to Z, literally 100% of the time, have always said, I got more deals. I was just listening to Breakfast Club this morning. What was it? Somebody said, I think it was this morning, said they got like 7 or 8 deals from calling A to Z on their, and maybe it was 2 mornings ago or a couple mornings ago. But anyway, 100% of the time, that's the results of calling their past database. Yet some people see that as calling their past database as a cold call.
Wow.
And I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless, but I don't think it's their fault that they think it's a cold call. I think somehow somebody has taught them that.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off. Because see, the problem with that is it's somebody trying to sell something that you don't need. And they will hurt your family. This is what pisses me off. They will hurt your family. They will take money out of your kids' college fund. They will take money off of your family vacation.
Yep.
Telling you that calling a past database is a cold call. They don't want to hear from you. They are hurting people by giving that message. And it does, man. It pisses me off, because then these people think, hey, I'm not going to call my database. They don't want to hear from me. even though I know I would close more loans. It's just beyond me.
Well,
Like
and we know, Carl, too, that in your past database, it's about a 1% conversion. And so
per
if you'll
month.
do per month. So if you'll follow the daily success plan and how we teach the database day, which is Wednesday, we know that for every 100, the likely results we see, or the typical results we see, are one in as high as even 2.7%. But let's just say the lower average, one. So for every 100 you have in your database, if you'll do 4 simple things, then what ends up happening is you can close 1 per 100. So a database of 500 or 600, you're talking about an additional 5 or 6 closings and fundings a month.
We're talking like $15,000 to
well, that's what I was about to say.
$20,000 a month.
Man, well, and I wonder how much money are we leaving on the table because of the false mindset of these are cold calls. No, these are thank you calls. Carl, like, hey, you're going to throw something at me.
Crazy.
Carl, I'd like to call and thank you, my man, for being a past client.
I got another question.
Okay.
All right. So we did past database.
Yeah.
Past database is not a cold call. That's a business call.
100%.
All right. How about, Steve, we're in a room, 200 people.
Yep.
How many people, everybody stand up, stay standing if you have some people that you pre-approved in the last 6 months and you haven't funded from them and you haven't talked to them in the last 2 months. How many people stay standing?
Most.
I mean, it's virtually 100%.
Yeah. 100%.
That you pre-approved people.
Yep.
You haven't closed them and you haven't talked to them in the last 2 months.
You stopped following up with them because there wasn't a process. It was top of mind, chasing the leads that are the closest, that are pre-approved and looking. But without a process, there's no consistency to sales. And that's the magic.
Yeah, but Steve, if I call those people I pre-approved, that's a cold call.
Yeah. Well,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'll take that cold call. Just transfer it right over to me.
Dude, that's like you went and bought a suit.
Yeah.
And the people calling you saying, "Hey, man," or no, you went and you put a deposit down.
Yeah.
And you went and got size for a suit, but you didn't go pick it up. And if the suit store comes back, "Hey, Carl, did you want to come in and pick up that suit that you got size for?" Dude, I just been busy. Yes, I would love to pick up that suit.
Yeah, I already got money on it. Let's go.
It's like the biggest no-brainer ever.
Yeah.
So calling the people that you pre-approved, I would say I would go back for, say, I mean, it depends on how many loans I'm going to close. Like I would at the bare minimum 6 months.
Yeah.
Like everybody that you pre-approved in the last 6 months that hasn't bought, call them. That's not a cold call. Call them up. Right.
Hey, and you know what? Not only the client, and I'd go back further than that. I mean, most people right now need the outbound sales activity. I'd go back to the last year, because 100%. How many people last year?
Only if I want to close more loans.
Yeah. Oh, well, if I no, don't do that. That might get you some more deals.
Hey, and you know what? Here's another thing. Let's say you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Right. Just getting started, and you don't have 50 people, 100 people, 20 people that you pre-approved in the last 6 months that haven't bought. What if you call the real estate agents and you say, who did you show a house in the last 12 months that didn't buy?
Yeah.
Like, I'll follow up on those people for you. That's not a cold call. That's Realtor Steve asked me to give you a call.
Yep.
Just checking up. I know you guys were looking for a house last summer.
Yep.
Did you end up buying yet? That's not a cold call.
Those are, you're not, it's not, yes, there's purpose behind it. And it's that there's a trust in the relationship that you're saying, hey, I'm calling on Carl's behalf. I know you guys were looking at properties last year. Want to see if you buy and if there's anything we can do to help. It's not a hard call.
So now let's do another one. So
hey, hold on. But here's the key too, because like on the pre-approved and looking, we know that the math is about 10%. So if you'll touch the lead that is pre-approved and looking, and you'll touch the partner, and both times ask for the business, whether it's the 3x3, and we'll give you the script. By the way, go to freedomplanningcall.com. If you don't know the plan, we'll walk you through it, freedomplanningcall.com. But if you'll touch the pre-approved and looking, close for business, touch the partner, ask for even more business. Who do you have today that I could help you get pre-approved, to make sure it's a great use of your time? Carl, we're seeing 10%. The typical result we see is, let's say you got 10 pre-approved and looking, you're making 20 outbound calls, 4 times in a month, which are 80 outbound calls. And if you're asking for the business 80 times in a month, we typically see you get about 8 or 9 relationally referred leads that you'll close too. And so, Carl, and those aren't cold calls. It's just a process to my sales activity.
That's a great point. Is that when we're calling the pre-approved and looking, we're not just calling to get their loans.
Yeah.
It's their friends, family, and coworkers, which 27% of all loans that closed last year
came from
they found their loan officer.
Yeah.
By cause a friend or family member referred them to the loan officer, which that person could be you if you're calling your pre-approved and looking. So, all right. So we got our past database, which again, most of the referrals, most of our closing from our past database isn't our actual past database. It's their friends and family and coworkers that they work with, because we use that in the script. Same thing with the pre-approved and looking. Both of those are not cold calls. Those are warm calls.
Yep.
So the next one that I think people think are cold calls is I'm doing a deal.
Yep.
In that deal, I've got a borrower and I got a co-borrower. I got my buyer's agent and I got my listing agent. And I got a title company.
Yep.
And everybody's number one complaint is twofold. Really one. It's really one-fold. I don't know what's going on the deal.
Yep.
And the bar and the co-bar, same thing. How's it going? How's it going? The listing agent, they may or may not know who you are. They may or may not know if you're competent or not. Where are we at? Or is the appraisal in? Like, how's things going? What's going on? And so when we call those people, the buying agent, the listing agent, the bar and the co-bar, give them an update of what's going on the file, and then ask for more business, right? Ask the listing agent, who else are they working with that you can help them with? That's not a cold call. No. I don't know how else to tell you that. Like, they get pissed off if you don't call them and give them an update. And people are thinking, no, that's a cold call. I don't want to call those people. They don't want to hear from me. Yeah. Their number one complaint
is they don't hear from you.
Their number one complaint is that they're not hearing from you. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. It's just crazy. So if you got a deal in, my God, call the listing agent, the buying agent, the bar and the co-bar, right?
Like they're just excited. They're like, oh my gosh, you're the loan officer. Talk to me. And you know what I think it is, Carl? I think loan officers, number one, they don't know what to say. They get concerned. They're going to get pulled into the details. And here's what we just teach them, man. It's a powerful 3-minute call. And the thing they want to hear is that we're on track for a smooth and flawless closing. And then if they go into the details, say, hey, that's a great question. I'm going to have Mr. and Mrs. Loan Partner follow up with you today by 4 to give you the details of when that appraisal will be coming back in. Hey, listen, before I let you go, Carl, is there anyone else you have right now that you're working with that needs to get pre-approved that I could help make sure it's a good use of your time this weekend? And it's just being intentional with every time we get off the phone, whether it's the client, whether it's the title company, whether it's the agents, you're closing for the business. Because look, here's what we find, Carl, the typical result is 20%. So if let's say I got 5 loans in process, we're talking to what, 5 times 25 to 30 people every single week on those transactions for 4 weeks. And the typical result we'll see is you're going to get about a 20% additional fundings from the number of loans you actually have in process. And so, but it's not a cold call. These people are gasping for you to call. They're like, Carl, please call me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Crazy. Hey, let's talk about one more group.
Okay.
So let's talk about, I'm going to put it in 2 different categories.
Okay.
So number one, if you're currently a loan officer, every real estate agent that you've worked with in the last 2 years, whether they're a buying agent or a listing agent, those are people that you've done business with.
Yep.
That's not a cold call.
That's right.
Call the people that you've done business with in the last 2 years. Because to me, that would be like if I went and last new car. So when here, I'll give you a real time example. So when Maria got her little convertible Mercedes, so she's had that thing now, I don't know exactly how long, probably 4 years, I guess, something like that. Well, guess what? Guess what happened just the other day?
The Mercedes dealership called you.
Hey, boy, it's 4 years old. Technology. Would you like to see what the new ones look like?
Oh, yeah.
Well, funny and it's fun. Maria took that call instead of me. And funny how that worked, that we have an appointment to go down and see what the new ones look like. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, we got a perfectly good, very nice little convertible Mercedes now, but we're going to go look at a new one. Hell, this one doesn't have, I don't know how many miles.
Y'all don't drive very much.
We go to the beach and back. I mean, like really, like it doesn't have that, but yet it's likely that this person's going to get some business from calling, from doing business with people that did business with him in the past, right?
Yeah.
So when you're calling people that you've done business with in the past, and I'm not talking about just your past database, but the agents too, that's a warm call, right? Those are
Yes.
people you've done business with.
Yeah.
So I would call those people that you've done business with in the past, those real estate agents you worked with in the past, say 2 years,
Yeah.
both the listing side and buying side. And I'd probably start with the people that referred to you in the last 2 years, but not the last 2 months. So they referred to you the last 2 years, but not the last 2 months.
Yep.
I would start with those first. It might be that just the path has just gotten a little, some weeds have grown in the path because you haven't been walking down it. So you need to start walking down that path again. Now, let's say, hey, Carl, I get all that. So I understand I don't have to make any cold calls if I've been in business for any length of time at all. What if I'm brand new? You still don't have to do any cold calls, because here's what I want you to do.
Yeah, we were talking about this. This is a great strategy.
Yeah, get a list of the agents in your area, which you can get these lists. Get a list of the agents in your area that are actually closing deals, right? It's going to be about 4%, maybe 5% of the agents.
Yeah.
A rule of thumb, for every 1,000,000 people in population, it runs about 1,000 agents, give or take, like in that ballpark. So likely, if we drew a circle around your house, say an hour around your house, for most of us, not everybody, but most of us, we got at least 500,000 people, or let's say even 250,000 people. That would be 250 qualified agents. I would get that list of qualified agents. I would take it down to my title company, and I'm brand new in the business. I would take that down to my title company and say, hey, title company, Steve, my name is Carl White. I'm brand new in the mortgage business. I work for whatever, Steve's Awesome Mortgage Company.com. And I know that you know who the good agents are because they come to the title company for closings, right? And so I've got a list of 250 agents here. Could you put a check mark between, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 of them that you've done business with, have come through your title company, and they're nice?
Yeah.
Like, could you just put a check mark beside the nice ones? And so now Steve puts a check mark between, or beside, I don't know, 50 names on there. I then call those people, and let's say Realtor Lisa is the first one. I'd say, I'd say, hey, Steve, is it okay if I drop your name when I call these people that we were down here and you said they were nice? Steve's like, dude, of course, right? Who would say no to that?
Yeah.
So I then call Realtor Lisa. Hey, Realtor Lisa, my name is Carl White. I was just over at Steve's Awesome Title Company, and the dude couldn't stop talking about you. And look, I'm a student of success. I'd love to hear your story. Like, I'd love to hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's not a cold call, because Steve, a buddy of yours, was talking about you, which you circled her on that paper, and that's why you're calling them.
Yeah.
So even if you're brand new in the business, it's still a warm call. And maybe it's lukewarm, but it's still a warm call. So Steve, just real quick, I know we're running up on time here. Just real quick. So if I'm making my calls to real estate agents. And I'm calling those agents that I've done business with in the past. And if I'm brand new, I'm calling those agents that the title company said, hey, here's the nice ones. If I'm doing that activity over the next, say, 90 days or so, how many loans do you think I'd be closing a month from that? Like, if you just grab a number.
If you're doing
based on past experience.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to how many you're reaching out to. But I mean, you're talking about, man, 6, 7. I mean, it just.
That's what I was thinking, like 5.
Yeah.
Easy.
I heard something the other day, Carl. Hey, listen, I thought this was really powerful, and this is appropriate. I heard somebody the other day, he was talking, and look, we're not real big on shiny objects. You do the calls and then do the other stuff. But Carl, listen to this. He was a guy who had built in a little bit of time, it got to 100,000 subscribers, and now he's way past it. But he said, somebody was asking him, how much time do you think it gets to 100? Does it take to get to 100,000 subscribers? You know what he said? He said, here's what we found. It's not times. It's not time. It's not like in 1 year, 2 year. He said it's reps. It's when you do 1,000 videos, you typically get to 100,000 subscribers. And man, something really shifted, because you know what I thought about? It's not the amount of time to get to closings. It's the number of reps. How many
How many
calls are
times
you
you're reaching
willing to
out?
make? Yeah. So if you want to do 4, 5, 6, it's what's the urgency? How many outbound proactive sales calls are you going to make? However, they don't have to be cold calls. And I think in short order, you could add 4, 5, 6 loans
All
by
right. So let's
just
say
waking up what's close.
let's go on the low side. And this is based on our own personal experience
Sure.
and watching thousands of loan officers across the
Yep.
nation doing this stuff. Let's say 4 loans a month in the next 90 days, each and every month from that.
Yep.
All right. I'm updating the agents.
Yep.
And I'm asking for business from I'm currently closing, let's do a modest 3 deals a month.
Got it.
And on those 3 deals, I'm calling the listing agent, the buying agent, the borrower, the co-borrower, and the title and or closing attorney, giving them an update, asking for business. And I'm currently closing 3. So 3 times 4 or 3 times 5, that'd be 15. That's 15 different people I'm calling each week.
Yep.
Giving them an update, asking for business. How many more loans would you think I'd get from that?
You'll get 1 more a month based
Guaranteed.
on the numbers because here's what happens is you're calling 15 4 times in a month. You're talking about another, 60 outbound calls. You'll get 4 relational leads. You'll fund 1. That's an additional $3,000.
All right. So that's an extra loan. I'm calling my past database. And let's say I don't have a past database and my database is strictly of my friends and family and neighbors.
Let's say it's
and
100
whatnot.
people and
but let's say I've got
family.
300 people in my past database. On 300 people, how many more loans is that?
Yeah. So 300 people, you're talking about an additional 3 loans a month.
3 loans.
12,
that's right.
12 relational leads.
All right. So 3 loans. I'm calling my pre-approved looking. I've got, I don't know, I'm just going to grab a number. I got 12 people that I pre-approved in the last 3 months. That's a very low number. I've got 12 people that's pre-approved and looking. I'm calling them, not just now reconnecting and closing their loans. But also their friends and family. What could I expect on that?
Yeah. So if you got 12, you're making 36 outbound non-cold calls a week for 4 weeks. You'll get 8 relational leads and fund at a minimum 2 more loans.
All right. So on our realtors was 4. On our Tuesday updates was 1. Assuming you're only closing like 3 loans a month.
3 loans a month.
More than that, if it's 6, double it. If it's 1, half it. You get the idea. My past database was 3, so that's 8 more loans a month. My pre-approval looking was another 2. And again, that was only assuming you've only pre-approved 12 people in the last 90 days, which would be we're talking like 4 a month, which certainly you should be doing more than that's. Like you're only doing 1 a week, right? So that would be an extra 10 loans a month. Let's say, I don't know, somebody averaged $3,000 per closing. Is that? And some more, some less. I get it, but use the math.
It's a good number.
Let's say 3,000. That's an extra $30,000
without making a cold call.
Without making a cold call. No, and that's based on you're currently now closing 3
units a month.
You're leaving what, over 3 times
what you're
currently making on the table by
I think it's by they don't know the plan, they don't have a process, and there's no accountability. And if you want help with that, Carl, that's why we created the coaching. Like that's it. The plan, take some action, be held accountable. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
So Steve, somebody wants to get this mapped out to them. Where can we show
freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. Carl, this is I understand why you're pissed. People are leaving too much of their own money on the table.
Well, and it's not their fault. It's somebody, people are telling them, hey,
people who aren't producing currently are telling them things they think are great ideas that are not converting and hurting loan officers.
No, I'm convinced they know it's not a good idea. I think they're doing it just because they want to make a buck. I honestly believe that. And that's what pisses, and it kills me that it's hurting people. So we just want to give you the truth. And look, whether you work with us or not, you deserve the truth. And now you have the truth. Yeah. Leaving that $30,000 on the table now should piss you off as you're listening to this. And it's like, you know what? Darn it. I'm going to stop doing that. And let me look into this. Before you say no to something, at least know what it is. Take a look at it. Take a look at the plan and then make a decision. Never make a decision whether you want to do something if you have no idea what you're deciding. This case is kind of like the old show, Let's Make a Deal. You get to look behind each curtains. Look behind the curtain to see what's there before you choose which curtain. freedomplanningcall.com. Steve, I appreciate you, my brother.
All right. Hey, guys, remember, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.